Let me tell you about a tragedy. It's a silent tragedy played out in the hearts of millions of men. It starts with a look, her look. You feel it in your bones. A sudden, intoxicating feeling of being seen. She doesn't just see you. She sees the hero, the artist, the king you always knew you could be. She paints a masterpiece of your potential, and for the first time, you feel truly alive, chosen, understood. And this right here is the beginning of your end, because you have just fallen for the most beautiful, most seductive, and most dangerous lie a man can believe. You haven't fallen in love with her. You have fallen in love with a reflection of a ghost that lives inside your own soul. The great depth psychologist Carl Jung dedicated his life to mapping the unseen forces that control us, and he issued a stark, terrifying warning to men. The greatest danger you will ever face is not a rival, not a failure, not a war. It is the unconscious, feminine part of your own psyche. He called it the Anima. And until you understand what it is and what it wants from you, you are destined to repeat the same tragedy over and over again. You will keep chasing a fantasy, getting replaced every time the audience gets bored, and wondering why you always end up confused, betrayed, and humiliated. This is not a comfortable truth. It is a mirror. Before we shatter it, I want you to look into it. Go to the comments and answer this. Have you ever changed a part of yourself, your opinion, your hobby, your dream to win a woman's approval? A simple yes or no. No judgment, just truth. Good. Now that the confession is made, the real work can begin. We are about to deconstruct the psychological theater you've been trapped in, and we will give you the one and only key to escape. What is the anima? It is the inner feminine image, the archetype of the woman that lives inside every man's unconscious. She is not real. She is a composite built from his mother, his first love, from myths, from culture, from his deepest unmet longings. She is his soul image. And here is the dangerous secret. When a man is unconscious of his own anima, he does not possess her. She possesses him. He projects her onto the real women he meets. He doesn't see the woman standing in front of him, with all her flaws and complexities. He sees the goddess, the savior, the missing piece of his own puzzle. He sees the one who will finally make him feel whole. You call it love. Jung called it possession. Like a man hypnotized, you walk into the trap, thinking, this time it will be different. But it never is. Because you have not yet asked the most terrifying question a man can ask himself. What if I am the one responsible for this pattern? You want to blame women. You want to call them manipulative, deceptive, shallow. But Jung would look you in the eye and ask, and why did you let yourself be chosen by that woman in the first place? You see, a man who refuses to confront his own inner world, his own soul, his own anima, is destined to become a slave to hers. You are not a victim. You are a volunteer. You chose to play the fool. You chose to be the actor in her private myth, because facing your own emptiness, your own lack of wholeness, was far more terrifying than playing a part in someone else's fantasy. This is the cycle of self-betrayal, and it operates through 3 invisible laws. The first law, the law of the empty throne. Every man is born with a throne in the center of his soul. It is the seat of his sovereignty, his purpose, his non-negotiable values. For most men, this throne is empty. They have not done the brutal, lonely work of figuring out who they are, what they stand for, and where they are going. Their inner kingdom is in chaos, and so they seek a queen to rule it for them. This is the essence of romantic projection. You outsource your soul. You make her the carrier of your hope, your meaning, your purpose. You think you are being romantic when you say things like, "I'd do anything for her," or "she's my everything." But Jung would shake his head and tell you that what you call love is actually a profound act of cowardice. It is a refusal to carry your own soul. It is easier to project it onto a woman and let her bear the weight. But here is the brutal twist. She was never designed to carry your soul. No woman, no matter how loving, can hold the weight of a man who refuses to hold himself. And when she realizes this, she will drop it. She must drop it. And when she does, you will feel betrayed. But you shouldn't. You should thank her. Because in that moment, when the illusion collapses, you finally stand face to face with the truth. The work of becoming a man was never hers to do. It was always yours. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. The second law, the law of wet clay. The man with an empty throne is not just looking for a ruler, he is looking for a sculptor. He becomes wet clay, willing to mold himself into whatever shape he believes will be accepted. You call it compromise. You call it partnership. Jung had a different name for it: self-betrayal. You stop being a man and you start being a mask. Smiling, nodding, agreeing, performing. You abandon your own hobbies, silence your own opinions, bury your own dreams, all in the desperate hope of becoming the man she wants you to be. You do this until you forget who you were before you put the mask on. And women, they sense this. Oh, they sense it with a primal, intuitive clarity that you could never imagine. And the very thing you think will make her love you, your obedience, your predictability, your availability, becomes the very reason she loses attraction. Why? Because the feminine instinct, Jung taught, is not drawn to comfort. It is drawn to mystery, to risk, to the man she cannot fully define or control. The moment you make yourself fully known, without boundaries, without a backbone, you don't become more lovable. You become invisible, disposable, replaceable. The third law, the law of the hungry ghost. The man who betrays himself lives in a constant state of spiritual hunger. He seeks wholeness in someone else's eyes. He is a ghost, haunting the edges of his own life, begging for a reflection to prove that he is real. And here is the paradox that keeps most men enslaved. You fear being alone more than you fear being fake. You would rather lose yourself than lose her. You would rather live in a role and face the terror of standing without applause. But Jung taught that until a man embraces that solitude, he will never be free. He wrote that individuation, the path to becoming whole, is not for the faint-hearted, because it requires you to die before you die, to let the false, performing, approval-seeking versions of yourself burn away, so that something real can finally emerge. And nobody wants to say this out loud. That path is lonely, terrifyingly lonely, because as you walk it, you begin to see things you cannot unsee. You begin to recognize the games people play, the masks they wear, the lies they tell themselves just to feel safe. And when you try to share what you see, they will call you cold, arrogant, too serious. You are not the problem. You are the mirror. And people hate the mirror when it shows them something they don't want to face. So what is the way out of this psychological theater? It is not to blame women. It is not to become bitter or cold. The way out is to turn inward, to start the lonely, terrifying, liberating work of individuation, to become whole without needing someone else to complete you. This is the great work. This is the journey to reclaiming your soul from the grip of your own unconscious fantasy. This is the path to integrating your anima. Integrating your anima does not mean becoming feminine. It means a man consciously connecting with the so-called feminine qualities he has suppressed within himself. His intuition, his empathy, his creativity, his capacity for deep connection. When a man integrates his own inner feminine, something miraculous happens. He no longer needs to project it. He no longer needs to chase it. He becomes a man who no longer needs to chase women. He doesn't run after them. He doesn't manipulate them. He doesn't perform for them. He stands still, fully rooted in who he is. And from that place, he no longer attracts women who want a character. He attracts women who want the truth. And you will know it when it happens, because she won't demand that you perform. She won't fall in love with the fantasy of you. She will stand before you, raw and real, not as a goddess looking for worship, but as a human being willing to walk her own path beside you. No masks, no projections, no games. And when you meet her, the real her, not the fantasy, you will see the difference instantly, because she is not looking to be completed. She is not looking to be saved. She has done the work. She has met her own shadow. She has confronted her own inner masculine, her animus. She has burned through her own illusions. And that is why she will not need you to carry her soul. She will stand there, whole in herself, looking you in the eye, not as a man she wants to mold, but as a man she is finally ready to meet. And in that meeting, there is no desperation. There is no clinging. There is only truth. And that truth, Jung taught, is the rarest and most dangerous kind of love. The kind that demands nothing, but offers everything, because it is not born of need. It is born of freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to walk away. Freedom to stand together without illusions. But let me warn you, most men will never experience this, because most will quit before they get there. They will settle for the performance, for the fantasy, for the temporary thrill of being seen as someone they are not, because facing who they truly are still feels unbearable. But if you have the courage, the brutal, gut-wrenching courage to keep walking, to keep standing alone, to keep stripping away every false layer, you will eventually find yourself. And when you do, women will no longer be the source of your identity. They will no longer be the mirror you use to feel like a man. They will become something else entirely. Partners, allies, mirrors, not to your ego, but to your soul. And you will love them not because you need them, but because you choose to, from a place of strength, from a place of wholeness, from a place that knows, without apology, who you are. Jung didn't leave you a map to follow. He left you a warning and a challenge. A warning that every man who refuses to confront himself will become a slave to the projections of others. And a challenge to walk the path of individuation, to stop blaming women for the roles you volunteer to play, to stop seeking wholeness in someone else's eyes, to stop waiting to be chosen. Because the man who chooses himself fully, unapologetically, relentlessly, is the man who cannot be controlled by fantasy. He cannot be seduced by performance. He becomes the author of his own life. If this message hits somewhere deep inside you, don't just scroll away. Take a moment, right now. Join the men who are choosing to be authors, not actors. Go to the comments and make your declaration. A vow to your own soul. Write, I choose myself. It is a declaration that the performance is over. The great work has begun. Subscribe to the Thinker's Codex. Wake up.